So I would say that the construction of Air Base 201 will go down as one of the most Herculean efforts in the history of the United States Air Force. Very young airmen doing a seemingly impossible task.
Can do, will do.
Operating in one of, if not the most austere location the United States Air Force has ever operated out of in its history, and building a 6,200 foot, 1.1 million square feet of asphalt runway in the middle of the Trans-Sahel region of Central Africa in the country of Niger near the city of Agadez. And it's a project, I think, that's rivaled any other construction project the Air Force has ever been involved in. In fact, it's the largest military troop labor project in Air Force history. And 541 Red Horse Airmen did this in just over 1,000 days to support an effort that is now complete.
My initial challenges were challenges I never thought I would have as an Air Force pilot. I worried about heavy construction vehicles. I worried about the age of those vehicles, getting parts for those vehicles. How are we going to be able to do a major engine overhaul, engine swap when we're working out of tents? We have no concrete foundations to do that, to support that weight. And then the other challenge I never expected was the ability to get asphalt. Asphalt is what we chose to make the runway out of and all the taxiways and ramps. And to be able to create asphalt here in the middle of Niger, in the middle of Northwest Africa, proved very, very challenging.
In order to have air power, you have to have an air base. And so when it comes to civil engineers in the Air Force, we essentially view the base, the air base itself, as our weapons platform, because you have to have the infrastructure of the air base in order to launch and recover the aircraft needed to maintain air superiority. For Air Base 201, it's a completely different paradigm, where we came to a location where there was no existing airstrip or airfield that we were improving upon. It was literally just desert, just Sahel, partly grassland, but a whole lot of sand and rock. So when we say we built this base from scratch, it quite literally means we came out to this spot in the desert just south of Agadez and built this base from the ground up. You have a basic idea of, okay, this is where we're supposed to go, this is what we need to do, but how you get there is kind of the art of this entire process. And a lot of that comes from either experience of the men and women on your team, or figuring out these are the parts of the puzzle that we have. Now what's the best way to put that together to get to where we're going? And a lot of that is not something that you read in a book. It's hot and dusty one day and you're battling a sandstorm, and the next day you're trying to make sure that none of your electronics are going to get fried because there's several inches of water in certain parts. And you're right, if it breaks, then you're literally up creek.
Logistics here is everything. It's hard to be able to get from here to another airport. One of the biggest things in logistics is in-transit visibility, which is ITV. And when you're out here, we don't really have a ton of paved roads. So being able to track where that cargo's at over land on the rugged terrain is nearly impossible. It makes things very, very hard to be able to tell when things are about to get here and when they're not. So, but yeah, and the other thing with the rugged terrain is that it is tough on these vehicles. It beats them up, which obviously makes us need more vehicle parts to be able to fix the vehicles. Now we need to fly in more stuff to fix the vehicles. It's a ever-revolving a circle of events.
A lot of the crews that are working heavy equipment, they would like to do that at night. As we manage the way that asphalt or concrete cools or heats, we have to keep that in mind. So sometimes we do some of that at night, sometimes we do it during the day. The squadron commanders are great at figuring out what the best time to do that is. It's often based on construction, either CE or REDHORSE. And then the Expeditionary Air Base Squadron leadership and the Security Forces Squadron, that they flex to that. So the whole base can kind of make that shift to support nighttime construction efforts.
And this will be a secondary access for security forces, fire, emergency services personnel to have quick access on a paved road as opposed to have to driving on dirt.
Is that fake or is that real? That's real.
Even though I'm grateful that I'm not in the sun during the day, I definitely feel it's a weird time schedule shift. It's like you're working 2 days at a time with the schedule, that's just how it feels, you know, because you work through it from dusk to dawn. But I appreciate being a night shift, and hopefully we can stay there as long as possible because I'm not trying to sunburn. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling.
That sounds hot.
Yes, it is, and it's big. We're close to the equator, it's pretty big.
L'eau c'est la vie.
L'eau c'est la vie in French. L'eau c'est la vie. There's a saying, Amanimer. So Amanimer pretty much stands for like water is life. Water is life.
That four-man civil affairs team that we have, they're my MVPs. They're out and about in the community every single day, doing good for Niger, doing good for the local communities. Because of their efforts, we have brought solar wells and been able to water thousands of animals that just went without or went with very little.
He said because of this new well, everyone is happy. The whole population is happy. He said even the Sultan is very happy what you guys have done, including the president. Even the president is aware of what the Americans have done here.
In the village of Agadez, and this is a well that we've worked with base leadership in order to fund and build. So it's solar panels, the water tank, and then a new, obviously solar powered well. So this is super exciting. There's actually several gardens. There's a women's association garden nearby where the women of the village are cultivating and have a garden to grow food. Women's associations in general are competitive, and there was a competition in Niamey about 3 months ago, and Agadez actually won, I believe, the food preservation division. So that was really exciting for the women, and they were super proud of it. And this will obviously go a long way in helping ensure that they're able to continue to grow food and provide food for their families.
Another highlight for me is when I hear young airmen say, one of the highlights of their 6-month deployment was putting the door onto that school or putting the roof onto that school, or seeing the looks in the kids' faces when they kick the soccer ball around them in the local community, because the locals are very, very happy to have us here. And so we really love that partnership, and the civil affairs team is definitely a key to keeping that successful.
Yes.
Avec le Nigeria, avec la Libye, avec le Mali.
Yes.
Donc vraiment on a beaucoup besoin vraiment de l'appui de nos partenaires.
So what he was saying, he was like, pretty much Niger is not a bad country, just that they're surrounded by bad neighborhoods or bad neighbors. And you have like Mali, Nigeria, Libya. So it's very important that they have the support of the U.S. and everybody else, because that's very important for them to be able to fight,
Yes.
all the groups that trying to bring, insecurity in the country. So
our goals are the same: to have stability and security in the region, and to be able to have Nigerian peace and security for families and the people of Niger.
This is a Nigerian Air Base that we've been part of and worked in partnership with them to build the airfield, build the runway, to build the base. We are here to support them, working together to make this part of Northwest Africa safer. We do lots of training with them, and a lot of it is security forces focused. We've got a lot of lessons learned from the last 20 years, and we share with them lots of those lessons learned to make them better soldiers, better security experts, but they do the same for us. You know, this is their home. So right now it's definitely a joint partnership that we have with Niger, and a very fruitful partnership, and hopefully that'll continue in the future.
César!